what to wear, what to cook, where to start, how to clean. Oh my God, everything seems overwhelming. There's too many decisions to be made, and that can cause burnout that we talked about before, but that's based on decision fatigue. And that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to episode 88 of the Positivity Experience. Let's limit some of those decisions. It's all about decision fatigue. Check it out. Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 88 of the Positivity Experience. It's your girl Lori, and I know you guys heard me last week, but I haven't been on the podcast for a couple weeks. I was on vacation with my best friend's family, and just had a really good time. Back into the swing of things. School has started. Allergies have started, but it's spooky season in my world. September 1 is the first day of Halloween. And I love it. So before we jump into the topic, I want to give a huge shout out to the newest Patreon members. On our gratitude level, we have Ari, which I love. It's like Ari. It just reminds me so much of a show I used to watch. And at our abundance level, and I'm so sorry, I know I'm going to butcher your name so badly, Badraya Omar. I hope I didn't tear that apart too much. And Anna Schumacher. I am so happy that you guys are here. If you're wondering what Patreon is, it is the toolbox version to give you the tools and everything that we talk about in the episode on the regular podcast here. And then we do a Kahoot game. Sometimes there's giveaways. There's a lot of cool little perks that come in. So I want to thank you guys so much. If you're ever interested in doing that, you're welcome to. The link is always going to be in the show note descriptions. So let's jump into that, baby. I have got to talk to you about decision fatigue, because this, for a person who has ADHD, and I'm an adult who has ADHD, or even if you don't have ADHD, this is and was and still is a game changer. It's actually part of a program that I'm working on developing that is nowhere near done. Don't even ask me. It doesn't even remotely have a reveal date yet, but it is a program on limiting your decisions to making minimalizing, organization, combating, all of those things that you look at as this big hill that you got to climb up every day, is really working on it on a micro level. You guys already know micro goals are a thing. Decision fatigue comes also from trying to do things without those micro goals. So make sure you go back and listen to the micro goal podcast. And I also have a micro goal series over on YouTube. If you go back a couple weeks, there's 5 episodes there for you to really help you with your micro goaling. Because really think about this. And I don't know if any of you out there who are listening to this right now, maybe you're cleaning as we speak, because I like to listen to podcasts when I clean as well. And you might be like, oh God, I have so much to do. I want to start here. I have to do this. And then I have to take little Billy to soccer. And okay, so all these decisions, they're tasks, but they're still decisions you have to make. What time are you going to leave to go to the game? What are you going to make for dinner? What room are you going to start cleaning? Where are you going to go for vacation? Sounds silly, but that's still a decision you got to make, right? So all of these things in your life, that's what we do every single day, is we make decisions. So the goal of making decisions and limiting the options are going to be your key. So if you've ever watched anything on minimalism, right? I love watching the Minimalist. I love listening to the Minimalist podcast. I have a minimalism board on my Pinterest. That's just where it lives. It doesn't live in my house. It's just there, right? Just looks good. But there's so much truth to it, because realistically, think of this, okay? You get up in the morning, you have your stuff laid out, you're ready to go for your workout, or you're just going to go to work. You have your outfit completely picked out, ironed, ready to go. You pretty much have already prepped your meals for the week. You have a plan, a micro gold plan to get you through the week. Okay. Now you've spent a little time doing it. You've spent a couple hours on Saturday, Sunday, or whatever your weekend is, right? And you've spent a few hours. That means you're prepping your meals. You're getting your meal planning together. Yeah, you're still going to have to put effort in it. That's correct. However, think about this, right? It's always about the payoff in the long run. Very often, and this is what somebody told me a long time ago, and it's so true. The difference between successful, whatever your definition is, of successful people and people who still want to be successful, is the successful people do the things that most people don't want to do, and they do them first, right? Because think of this. You already know motivation is a BS thing. Motivation is not real. But there's a difference between motivation and self-discipline. Self-discipline is, hey, this really sucks, However, and preferably don't go into it negative, but let's just, for all intents and purposes, this sucks, but I know I'm going to have to do this if I want to make my life easier down the road, if I want to make this a habit down the road. So they put in that effort, they put in that work. So sometimes, and this is important for you because very often you might look at someone and go, look at them, they're out on the boat, they vacation a lot. What you don't know is the work that they put in to get there. Some of those people forewent like vacations for a couple of years. They really sacrificed. They really put their nose to the grindstone. So now they're reaping the benefits. That's where patience comes into play. And I promise I'll do a whole podcast on patience, but because believe me, there's enough to do like 54 podcasts on patience, but it's imperative that you understand that things aren't just going to happen. And even when you're micro-goaling them, you can still micro-goal and still have multiple options. So like a minimalism, let's say you had 6 shirts. Let's just go 6 because I like even numbers. 6 shirts, 3 black, 3 white. Okay. But you like alternated them. You put them on a pile and it was like black, white, black, white, black, white. And you had like 2 pairs of jeans. I don't know, whatever, just go with it. Well, you're not going to have a big choice on what you're going to wear the next day. You're either going to wear a black shirt or a white shirt and you have 2 pairs of jeans to choose from. It's not going to take you that long. Now, I'm not asking you to go completely minimalist, but what I'm saying is I'm giving you that as an example. So this is why things like meal planning, things like getting your clothing ready for the week, including your workout clothes, getting a regular schedule done on your calendar, right? Like, okay, let me see if I can give you an example of that. Oh, like my schedule, right? I try to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I get an extra day in, great. If I don't, that's fine. But on the days that I do that, I have a set routine. See, this is why routines are very important. And you do the routines even when you don't feel like doing them. Self-discipline. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting to feel like it. But this will become less of I don't feel like it and more like, oh, this is just what we do. Okay. So like in the morning, like I said, I stretch, I say my mantra, I get up, I brush my teeth, go to the bathroom, do my journaling. Then, anything, maybe I'm throwing a load of laundry in. That's typical. If it's a laundry, like I try to do a load a day if there's enough there to do it, and then get my daughter up, then take her to school, come back, do my workout, shoot some content. Like I literally have a set routine. There's no decisions for me to make. None. I get up. This is just what I do. The decisions are already made for me because I allowed myself not to be like, well, what am I going to wear today? And how many times have you done this? Any of you come home and you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do for food. Maybe we'll just DoorDash it. And that's fine. I'm all about the DoorDash life. That's great. Love it. But here's the deal. Then you don't get to be like, oh my God, but now look, now we don't have enough money okay. We can minimalize this. We can literally minimize your options, but you have to be willing to do it, right? And over on Patreon, I'm going to give you a good exercise on doing that, or a few exercises actually. But this is why you have to do the things that you just dislike. Some people dislike getting their clothes ready. Some people dislike the iron. Some people dislike meal prepping. Some people dislike grocery shopping. That's great. And hey, you can look and say, okay, then maybe you do your Instacart or your Walmart pickup or wherever you can, go online, order it. But here's the kicker. You don't go into the grocery store without having a list. I mean, unless you're going to pick up 1 or 2 things, but don't go in the grocery store with no plan. Don't be like, I'm just going to the grocery store, pick up a few things for dinner. Right. You're allowed those every now and again days. I really only have a pretty strict schedule, 5 days a week. And with this being a holiday weekend, 4 days, but I still try to maintain a consistent practice where I don't have a lot of decisions to make. So part of your overwhelm, right? Most of your overwhelm is because you feel like you have all this stuff you got to do. This really works for work as well. Like if you are working and you have your, everything is not urgent. There's not, I know everybody's like, I have 800 fires to put out. Well, then you need to really sit down and be like, which ones are most important? It's kind of like if you have a boss and your boss says to you, hey, I need you to work on said project, whatever it is. And you go, okay, you get the project, when the deadline is, and tomorrow, Your boss comes to you and says, hey, I know you're working on that, but listen, I really need you to do this for me. It's really important. Instead of you going, well, all right, I mean, fine. Now I have to decide how I'm going to do this. Now I have to figure it out. No, hard pass. You can literally say, okay, well, yesterday you gave me the Smith file that you wanted me to work on. And today is about the Thomas file. I definitely cannot do them both in this time limit. So which one would you rather me do? And which one is a priority to you? Do you see how that goes? This is for anything. You don't just give people 94 options. You don't go, well, which one in this case, let's say there was 10 of them and you knew that only 2 of them were super important. You wouldn't say, which of the 10 do you want me to do? You would give them options. It's kind of like I said on my YouTube this week. It's like, instead of saying, hey, everybody, what do you want for dinner? And you have 4 people in the house. This one says pasta. This one says chicken. This one says steak. This one says, okay. So now you're like, okay, I'm no further than I was 5 seconds ago. I'm not making 4 meals. So instead of that, you go, hey guys, tonight, you guys want pasta? Or, tomorrow, do you guys want pasta or do you guys want chicken? Oh, I was hoping for roast. Oh, that's not the option tomorrow. Stop giving people all these options. For one thing, it's overwhelming. And I use this reference when I shot it in YouTube this week. If you ever watch something like Bar Rescue or something where they go into restaurants and they look at the menu, if there's 80,000 things on the menu, that's too much. That's overwhelming. I mean, how many times have you gone into a restaurant or a bar or something and you go, oh, everything looks so good, right? You're like, oh my God, look at all these options. It's great to have options. You just don't need 50 options. So this is why your decisions and decision fatigue kicks in. Because when you're making decisions, you have way too many options, right? So it's a good practice for you to start going, okay, it's a good analyzation to figure out like, where do you feel like you're constantly behind, right? And then there could be 10 different places. I'm behind in 10 different areas. Okay, now don't look at that and be like, oh my God, I have these 10 things to do. Number 1, yeah, great. You have those 10 things to do. Prioritize them. Well, I mean, they're all important. No, we're not doing that either. Some of those things might be done simultaneously, but for the most part, they're not. So you got to stop. And then if somebody throws something else at you, and now listen, life happens, right? Like there's going to be times that not everybody's going to be able to you can't be like, oh, skirt, sorry, like can't do it. Like there's going to be those times that happen. You're just going to have to be flexible with it. But for the most part, if you're constantly taking on more things than you can handle, right? That's like most of the world. If you're taking on more things in which you can handle, you have to prioritize it and then make a decision. And it's not a decision fatigue because you've already sat there and went through it. So if you know you have 10 things on your list, you take the top 3 things. Once you've prioritized them, don't write them down in priority, just jot it all down. Then you write it down and you say, then you prioritize it. Then at that point, what you're going to do is you go, okay, great. I have these 3 things. Now, what's the methods that I need to do to achieve these? That's where the micro goals come into play. So you can see if you stop giving yourself 57,000 different decisions, the micro goals become that much better and that much easier, right? So that's why going through your closet's important. That's why, not feeling as though your house or your business or your car, no, those things aren't engulfing you. Because I don't know if you guys have ever felt that way, but sometimes you come in and you just feel like, oh my God, I have so much to do. So much. It could be work, it could be family, you just have so much to do. And there's like you walk in and it's almost like you're drowning in your own home or in your own space. Well, that's where you burning yourself out is definitely not the answer. You saying yes to every thousands of things is a hard pass. That's why no being a complete sentence has to be your motto. Stop saying yes to everything because you say yes to everything to everybody else. Now you have 3,000 different options and decisions that you have to make on how you're going to do it. Well, no, you don't get to blame them. You've now taken this on. No blame. We don't do victim. Remember, we don't do victim mentality. So that's why I gave you that option or that example there about the boss, right? Because sometimes, your boss is like trying to get, maybe they aren't giving them, maybe they have decision fatigue. So they're telling you that they need all these things done. You are not a robot. So you need to say, listen, here's some options. These are the things I'm working on, because sometimes they might forget, right? Don't just assume they know. These are the things I'm working on, and I know I can't get them done in a timely fashion, all of them. So I need you to help me understand which one you want done. Not, maybe don't say help me understand, just be like, which one would you like for me to focus my time on, and in what order? Do you see what I mean? Now you don't have to make it the decision. Stop doing all of the decisioning. That's right. I said decisioning. It's now a Lori word. So this is why you can't always commit, because then your decisions go crazy. Now you feel overwhelmed. Now you have decision fatigue, burnout, stress. Now you're mad at everybody because you take on everybody else's stuff. They're not taking it on for you. And now you get all upset. I mean, believe me, this decision thing will help you all the way across the board in your life. So again, going back to the dinner option, don't give everybody, just don't blasé it out and be like, hey, what do you want to eat? Like, see, I know I'm pretty picky with my, it's not picky. I'm just very selective on the things that I eat, just me. So I know most people people who know me, they're not gonna be like, hey, do you want to, like, where all do you want to go? They might say that, like Paul might say that to me, but he pretty much knows it's gonna be one of like 2 or 3 places. Or if you said, hey, do you want to go here or do you want to go here? I now have less decisions to make. So you also have to establish that for other people, because some people aren't going to be able to, like, they might not be at that emotional maturity level where they're on that level of being like, okay, let me like balance out my decisions. Like, not everybody's going to be there. And that's fine. So you can also make it easier for them while making it easier for yourself. Everybody wins. So this is where you have to ask yourself, and this is where you got to be honest, because remember, that's the big thing. I think so many people aren't honest with themselves. You want everybody else to be honest with you. You want everybody else to like take accountability, but yet you don't want to be honest with yourself. So you avoid yourself. You go on socials. You're trying to busy yourself. You're going shopping. All of things it just happens. It's not a judgment. It's just, that's what happens. So this will limit some of those decisions by allowing yourself to set out your clothes the night before, even the week before. Like I work from home. I do everything telesession, unless I'm doing a group or speaking engagement. But then, for that, that's easy. That's in the evening. I can figure out what I want to wear if I want. But in the morning, I try to always make sure that I have my workout stuff laid out if it's a workout day, or my journals are in a good place. Also know your weaknesses. Let's not call them weaknesses. Let's say areas that you kind of struggle to be consistent in. I like that better. And like, I know for me, my bedroom's upstairs. My office is downstairs. If I'm upstairs and I need to write in one of my journals and it's downstairs, I'm going to find typically 10,000 different reasons to not go down there. Or when do I want to go downstairs? It's not like I have a big ass mansion. Like, it's literally 13 steps. Like, it's not like 500,000 steps, but I know me. So what do? I give myself a setup there. So I've taken away the decision of, oh my God, do I have to go downstairs? What do I have to do? Now I'm trying to negotiate with myself. Why? So lean into what your weaknesses and your shortcomings and the areas that you struggle in, lean into those. Do something to make it easier for yourself. But here's the kicker. Stop waiting to want to do it. Stop waiting to be like, it's kind of like if you go in the kitchen, you go, oh my God, I have all these dishes to do. Okay. Trust me, it's not my most favorite thing on the planet to do either. So I make it easy for myself. I'll put on an Audible. I'll put on a podcast. I will put on music. I will do something and I'll just go in my zone. And dishes are great because if you hand wash them, I'll put a lot in my dishwasher. But if you hand wash them, it's also meditative. So I don't look at the task as this awful task. I just go, okay, this needs to be done. I'm going to make it as fun as possible. Same thing with your meal planning. Same thing with your meal planning. So this is where people can throw options at you. This is where you can say, hey guys, Friday I go grocery shopping, Saturday, whatever day you go grocery shopping, do me a favor, write down some ideas of things that you want for dinner. Okay, so now this is giving them time. You're not pressuring them. You're not angry now because 53 different people gave you 53 different dinner ideas at that time, in that moment. So this gives you the space to include everybody so they can be heard and you can give them the foods in which they want, but you get to decide how you want to lay it out. It's not the end of the world if somebody wants spaghetti on Monday that they have it on Wednesday. And even if you design it to have it on Wednesday, you can have it on Monday. The whole idea with meal planning isn't rock solid. It's not like, well, I said this is Monday's meal. I guess this is Monday's meal. You can do Monday's meal on Friday. But the point of the meal prep and meal planning is to have it there so you don't have to think about it. The idea is to limit your decisions. So this is why if you go back a few episodes, probably 5 or 6 episodes, it was on non-attachment. You guys know I live very non-attached. I'm not attached to things or people or places. I like them. I value them. I love them, but I'm not attached to them. So this is going to be very helpful when it comes down to decluttering, right? Believe it or not, there is so much proof and facts. And, yes, a messy desk, like I'm looking at right now, a messy desk does mean that you're smart. Well, and it also stresses me out. So, but after I'm done, I will go through and I will get rid of all this and put it away. Not because I want to, but because I know it's going to help me come the next day that I need to sit here. So you also have to stop with the procrastination, because when you're procrastinating, you're really not protecting yourself. You're actually making things so much harder on your mental health. So much harder. Right? We've all done it. Everybody procrastinates in some way. We all do it. So this is where you have to just man up. You got to woman up. You got to person up. You got to allow yourself to be like, okay, this is what needs to be done. Micro goal it, do it, and then it becomes a habit. After 120 days, which is 4 months, it becomes a lifestyle. 28 days makes it a habit. Some people tell you 21. It's really 28. 21 is a start, but 28 is great. And then that's a habit, but 4 months is a lifestyle. You get up, you dot the I's, you cross the T's, you do the things you don't really necessarily feel like doing, but you know that you're going to get them done. It becomes automatic thinking. So procrastination for a lot of people has become automatic. You're just like, oh my God. And then it's the narrative. So this goes into decisions too, right? Now, some of this is just going to be negative thinking. Oh my God, that sucks. I don't want to do it. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to Monday. Oh my God, look at all this. I'm like, okay, stop it. That's not going to serve your best and highest good, because now you're going to be doing all of that and you're going to be stressing yourself out. You're going to be stressing yourself out. And now you're going to keep procrastinating. And just remember, when you procrastinate, that doesn't mean things stop. Things just keep piling and piling and piling. Now you have more decisions to make. Do you see the vicious cycle here? Put off, put off, put off. Don't feel it, don't feel it, don't feel it. Put off, blame, put off. Now, oh my God, look at me, I'm overwhelmed. And that's what you cannot do, right? Because then you are literally drowning in your stuff, right? And that's why you want to do some considerations on again, don't just go out the box and be like, oh, I watched The Minimalist on Netflix and I'm going to get rid of everything but like 3 pairs of jeans and 2 shirts. Like, I mean, I hear you. That sounds lovely. Don't do that. That's all or nothing thinking. Gray area, baby. We are not doing all or nothing thinking. And this goes into the decisions again. Because now let's say you're like, okay, you're going to go on a diet, which I'm vastly against, unless it's like a health thing or a moral thing, or a religious thing. That's fine. Like that's fine. But if you're just like, I need to go on a diet because I got to lose weight, I got an issue here, because now you're villainizing food. Now you're saying, okay, more mindfulness. Yes, I will do something on eating and really helping you understand your relationship with food. I promise you it's on my list to do. It is something that I specialize in, but it's to understand, right, that you don't just go out the box, decide you're going to cut out all your carbs, all your sugars, all your flours, all your white processed stuff, no sodas, no coffees. You're going to make sure that you're doing the 75 hard. You're going to make sure that you are like doing this. You're getting up, you're drinking 3 gallons of water a day. Okay. That's great for like 3 days. You are going to burn yourself out, because now you haven't allowed yourself, and you're doing so with an expectation, right? So now you're doing so with an attached idea. I got to go on a diet because I have to lose weight. So now your decisions become even more stressful. You think, okay, and now look, at first it can be helpful. You're like, oh my God, this is great. I only have so many things that I'm going to eat that I quote unquote can eat. So that's why in the beginning it seems fun. You're like, or not fun, but you seem motivated. You're like, yeah, this is great. Oh my God, I don't have to think about what I'm eating. Yeah, but because you didn't think about the long-term plan, you made some instant decision without thinking it through and thinking about the baby steps and what's realistic for yourself. Now we're just in that weird loop. And now you're going to have one bite of somebody's sandwich or one chip, and now you've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and now you're binging on 4 bags of Doritos. Because you're like, oh my God. Of course you are. But in the beginning part of it, you were motivated, but you weren't self-disciplined because you were looking for instant results. Remember, motivation comes from instant results. Always know that. To be motivated means you want an instant result. To have self-discipline means you're going to do it regardless because you know what the long-term payoff is. So that's the kind of thing on decision fatigue. Like when you're making all these decisions, it's great to have options, but you don't need 7,000 options. So that's why do you see how like all of these different topics tie in together? Like, yeah, they're standalone topics, but they all go together. Decision fatigue, decisions, that goes in with, micro goaling, goes into planning, goes into doing things that you don't feel like doing, goes into not complaining, do you see how like you start with one thing? And this is important to know because very often you think you're overwhelmed with the kitchen, but you're not overwhelmed with the kitchen. You might be, but you're also overwhelmed because you have 54 different options to do on, well, how am I going to get this person here? And how am I going to get the person there? And because it seems annoying and overwhelming, you don't want to make the decision right now. There's too much happening because everything seems urgent. So that's why I want you to understand. And I think I've said this to you guys before because I have a lot of amazing listeners in Israel and a lot of other places. Hello, everyone in Israel, by the way. And I have a lot of listeners in other places, and they actually take the time. They take time because they know that decision fatigue is very real. You need to recoup and regroup. Yes, but here's the thing, and I need you to wrap your head around this. You're going to I'm going to say have to, you don't have to do anything, but like you're going to have to carve out time in your calendar to say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do a meal plan. Or you're going to order your meal plan or whatever. You can order it. That's the beautiful thing about like Home Chef and all those other places, right? So, but anyway, you're going to plan this out. You're going to spend the time. You're going to go, when you get your fruit, you're going to cut it up. You're going to put it away. Okay. It's part of your micro goals. I don't care that it's going to take 5 hours on Saturday. And you go, oh my God, but then the weekend shot. Yeah. But you know how much easier it's going to be when you come home and you can just pop something in the microwave for yourself or the whole family. They can just access it. Now you're sitting down and you're like, oh my God, I can actually decompress. I can have a glass of wine. I'm chilling. That's beautiful, right? Don't get married to just your weekend. I only have 2 days because that'll make you a little squirrely. Now you have all these decisions you got to make for that day. You see what I'm saying? So stop putting all that pressure and like, I got to do this, I got to do that. Okay. But if you do the micro goaling and you break it down and do different things on different days, or you have a system, I have a system when I do my meal planning. So like, what's tomorrow, Saturday? Sometimes I have groups, but I don't have one tomorrow because it's a holiday weekend, but I have a group in Virginia the following week. So I know when I have groups on Saturday, I'll do the groceries on Friday night. If I don't have a group on Saturday, I do it early Saturday morning. I have a structure on the things that I want to put on the on the meal plan for next week. I write down all of the ingredients. If it's a recipe or something, I'll say what website or what page it's on. And then I get my stuff, I chop it up because if I don't, I'm going to get a bag of salad and that thing's just going to come and live in the back of the refrigerator and die. Like it's just going to live there. I'm going to get strawberries. They're going to have fur coats on in 4 days. So I have to bring it in the house and I have to chop it down. So then I don't have to choose, well, what am I going to snack on? What am I going to eat? And then everybody else doesn't have 57,000 choices either. So that's the whole thing and whole wrap on decision fatigue. And it's interesting because when you start getting really aware that you have decision fatigue, you're like, oh my God, I just can't make a decision. That's because you're overwhelmed with decisions. Stop giving yourself so many options. And that's why this bridges with those micro goals and doing those journals. And the list is endless. Every one of these podcasts or any of my content, it's always going to be related, even if it was like, hey, let me show you how to color block, which is on my list to talk to you about. But that's about prioritizing and all of these things. You're like, oh, that's great. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's still part of microgoaling. That's still part of like not having a lot of decisions. There's a whole reason that people color block in their schedule. So you don't have to decide what you need to do. So, and guess who's control of that? You are. Yeah, of course it's going to feel overwhelming. Everything doesn't have to be done right now. So I want you to take a deep breath. Come on, take a deep breath with me. Everybody, no matter where you are, deep breath. Exhale. Let's do that one more time. That felt really good. Really good. Deep breath. Exhale. It's good. It's not that deep. I promise you. You don't have to make 87,000 decisions. All right? So with that being said, go figure out 1 or 2 things to do. Put them on your list. Easy decisions to make. Less stress. Now you can catch up on your shows. You can catch up on your books. Go and do your thing.
Check it out.